I've come to realize over the years that the spark of any triumph, big or small, doesn't ignite with a perfect plan or a golden opportunity. It begins with a quiet, stubborn belief in yourself, a conviction that you've got something worth giving. And that's why the words "success starts with believing in yourself" resonate so deeply with me. They're not just a feel-good mantra, they're a truth I've lived, a lesson carved into my bones through every stumble and every step forward, a fire that's pushed me from a kid full of doubts to a person who's learned that self-belief isn't arrogance. It's the root of everything worth chasing. I think back to when I was 18, standing in my room with a battered notebook, scribbling lyrics I wasn't sure anyone would hear. I wasn't a star, didn't have a voice that turned heads or a stage to stand on. Just a cheap pen and a heart buzzing with melodies I couldn't shake. I'd grown up quiet, the kid who faded into the background, always second-guessing, always wondering if I was enough. But that night, something shifted. I looked at those messy pages and thought, maybe I can do this. Not because I had proof, not because the world cheered me on, but because I believed, just a flicker, that my words mattered. So I kept writing, kept humming, kept dreaming, and that belief, fragile as it was, carried me to my first open mic. A shaky set, a dozen listeners, but a start. And now, years later, with songs that have found ears and stages that have held my weight, I see it clear. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it bloom in others too, like my friend Clara, a woman who'd spent years in a cubicle, crunching numbers she didn't love. She had this itch to bake, to turn sugar and flour into art. But she'd tell me, "I'm no chef, I've got no training, who'd buy my stuff?" Doubt was her shadow, and it kept her small. Till one day, over coffee, I said, "Clara, you don't need a diploma to knead dough. Believe you can and start." And she did, with a hand-me-down mixer and a kitchen counter. She believed not in a miracle, but in herself, her hands, her taste. And she baked, burned a few batches, tweaked recipes, sold cupcakes at a flea market. Now she's got a little shop, a line out the door, not because she was born a baker, but because she believed she could become one. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've felt it in my own skin, too. There was a time I wanted to run a marathon. Me, the guy who'd huff climbing stairs. I wasn't built for it, didn't have the legs or the lungs, and the mirror told me I'd fail. But I'd watch those runners, their grit, their glow, and I thought, why not me? Not because I was fast, not because I had a coach, but because I believed I could try. So I laced up, jogged a block, gasped, walked, jogged again. 26 miles seemed a fantasy, but I believed in the first step, then the next. And months later, I crossed that line, sweaty, slow, victorious. Not a champ, but a finisher. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it in the quiet ones. My cousin Tim, a shy tech whiz, always tinkering with gadgets but too scared to share. He'd say, "I'm no inventor, I'm just messing around." Fear of not being enough kept him in the garage. Till one day his sister broke her phone and he fixed it with a rig he'd built. I told him, "Tim, you've got gold in those hands, believe it." And he did. Started small, repairing for friends, then built an app from scratch. Now he's got a startup, not because he was a prodigy, but because he believed he could be. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've tasted it in the big leaps, When I quit a steady job to chase music full-time, I had no savings, no fallback, just a guitar and a gut telling me I could. I wasn't a name, didn't have gigs lined up, and the fear of crashing was loud. But I looked at myself, not the doubts, and thought, I can make this work. I believed in my sound, my hustle, my heart. So I played dives, slept in my car, took every no as a nudge. Now I've got a life I love, not because I dodged the hard, but because I believed through it. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it in the broken, like my neighbor Rose, a widow at 40, kids to raise, no career. She felt lost, told me, I'm nothing now, but she had a knack for sewing, a machine in the attic. I said, Rose, you're more than enough, believe it. And she did. Stitched curtains, mended clothes, sold quilts at fairs. Now she's got a side gig that feeds her family, not because she had it all, but because she believed she had enough. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've felt it in the small wins. Learning to cook, me, the guy who burned toast. I didn't have skills, just a pan and a craving, so I believed I could chop, stir, season. Dishes flopped, smoke alarms sang, but I kept at it. Till I fed friends a meal worth eating, not a chef, but a cook. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it in kids. My niece Mia, 7, wanted to dance. Didn't have rhythm, just a twirl and a grin. She'd trip, giggle, try. She believed she could spin. And now she's in recitals, not perfect, but joyful. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've tasted it in loss. When my dad passed, I wanted to honor him with a garden. I wasn't a grower, had no clue, just a spade and a seed. I believed I could plant something alive. Half died, but some bloomed, and that patch is his. Not a pro, but a son. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it in the bold. My pal Jake, a dreamer who ditched law for art, didn't have a gallery, just paint and a wall. He believed he could create, sold his first piece from a sidewalk. Now he's in shows, not because he was trained, but because he trusted his brush. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've felt it in faith. Praying when I felt small, believing I was heard. I didn't have proof, just a whisper in my soul. I trusted, spoke, grew, not a saint, but a seeker. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it everywhere. Old man Joe, no degree, fixing bikes in his shed. He believed, built a trade. Sarah, no voice, teaching sign. She believed, changed lives. Tom, no cash, growing herbs. He believed, fed his block. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've lived it in the grind. Starting a blog, no readers, just a keyboard. I believed my words could land. Posts flopped, but I wrote till some stuck, not viral, but mine. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've tasted it in love, asking her out, shaky, sure she'd pass. I believed I was worth a shot. She said yes, and we're us. Not flawless, but real. Success starts with believing in yourself. I've seen it in history. Folks with nothing but faith, building homes, crossing plains, rising from ash. They believed they won, not because they had it all, but because they trusted they could. Success starts with believing in yourself. So here's my soul, laid bare. Life's a canvas, a race, a song. Doubt's a shadow, not a wall. It's the not believing that sinks you. Look at your hands, your spark, your core. What's humming? A note, a step, a seed? Don't let fear of not shining dim you. Let belief in your light lift you. I've doubted 1,000 times tunes that tanked, runs that slowed, dreams that drifted. But I've believed 1,000,000, and every belief built me. Success starts with believing in yourself. Your moment's here, your chance is now. Fall, fly, but feel. Believe you can, and you will. The world's waiting, and you're ready. Start.